Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Darylyn and today I'm so excited to be back filming. I haven't really filmed anything for a while. I took another hiatus because life just gets busy sometimes, but I'm excited because it is spring officially now. In Southern California, it's early March and plants are growing, leaves are unfurling, and so I'm really excited and motivated to talk to you guys about something I've been kind of like a good topic I've been saving up for a while, and that is my favorite planty glow-ups in my collection. Most of you probably know what I mean by a glow-up, but specifically, I mean plants that kind of started out small and unimpressive that I have managed to grow up into big, beautiful, impressive specimens. I've been growing my plants for about 4 years now, so some of them really have come a long way. So I'm going to show you my favorites, and I'm also going to tell you kind of how I did it, or how I think I did it. So if you're at home trying to improve on some of the same plants that I've had successes with, you will get the insight into how I did what I did and how I got the results I got. So let's kick it off really quick with a absolute banger, one of my favorites, and that is my Philodendron Florida Ghost. Now, this is not a plant that when I saw it online or heard about it, I really had an urge to pick it up. I ended up getting it in a bundle of cuttings, I want to say close to 2 years ago now, and it was just a very small one leaf, tiny top cutting. It was actually tough to root. I think I stuck it in moss at first for a while, put it in the grow tent. It didn't do anything for forever. So I changed up my approach. I put it in water. It still did nothing. And then finally I had to use some rooting hormone, and that kicked off the rooting process. And ever since then, it has just exploded. Since I rooted it in water, I just kind of naturally let it kind of root into leca, and I still have it in leca, and it's just completely taken off. I honestly think this is probably my best looking philodendron. Definitely has some of the most impressive sized leaves for something, and it's in a window. It gets natural sunlight, and I think that is really the trick with these. They absolutely love light, and the natural sunlight gives it a really nice color when the leaves come in. You have to keep these in really high light to really get the ghostly white color, otherwise they kind of just stay minty. I really like it. It's beautiful. It's definitely a surprise for me because like I said, it wasn't something that I had on my wish list forever, so I'm just really enjoying it. And I have it in leca, which I think for sure helps because there's always a water supply in there. So I'm really excited to see where this plant is gonna go over, the course of the growing season, because it's been giving me a couple of pretty big leaves over the winter. So fingers crossed that by the end of the summer, it looks even more amazing than it already does. So that is why it's one of my favorites. It's just a really great plant and I really love it. All right, so the next one is my Philodendron glorious, which is actually right here. You can see one of the leaves. There's some more big leaves gently out of frame. I'll give you some more close-up shots, don't worry. I absolutely freaking love this plant and I highly recommend it. If you're only gonna get one kind of heart-shaped climbing philodendron, I highly recommend the Philodendron glorious. I got this 2 years ago from NSE Tropicals, and the leaf that I was sent on my plant was already a pretty decent size, but this has been by far the easiest of any of my philodendrons to size up. I've in the past struggled with some of these climbing philodendrons like Melanochrysum and Varicosum. It's tough to get them to attach to a pole unless it's really humid in your environment, but this plant does not care. It attached to the pole no problem. As soon as it rooted into the pole, it started freaking exploding in growth, exploding in size. It's super, super beautiful. I really just can't say enough good things about it. So highly recommend if you are looking to, add something like that to your collection and you're not sure if you'd rather have that or the Melanochrysum or the Gloriosum. Glorious all the way. By far the easiest plant I have in that group. I love it. I can't recommend it enough. Ride or die on that plant. I'm so glad that I have it. It's a great one. All right, so next is my Anthurium Block F2. This is a really cool plant. If you aren't familiar with Block, he's a pretty famous Anthurium. breeder and hybridizer. He has a lot of really cool hybrids that are unique to his like breeding program, and he's kind of well known for like really, really vivid colors, like leaves that come out, you know, looking purple, looking like bright red. And so the Block F2 is one of the kind of like more common ones, I would say. But I traded for this from a friend a couple of years ago, maybe a year and a half ago at this point. And when I got it, it was just, you know, a little tiny plant, like, you know, leaves maybe like this, and now it's just exploded. I've left it in my grow tent. It's in leca. Yeah, it's really done well. I just use the same exact fertilizer water as I have, you know, all my other plants. The reason I have it in leca is because it was in leca when I traded for it, and I just haven't decided what I want to do with it yet. I left it in my grow tent. I think it would probably be fine if I took it out, but it's just doing so well in there and it looks so good that like I don't want to like ruin a good thing. I highly recommend this. It's just so beautiful. Like if you're into Anthurium and you're trying to like branch out and, you know, you want to get something that's a little bit more special, but you don't want to like completely break the bank. Some of the block hybrids, like you can find them if you really, really look in like Facebook groups and whatnot. You can find them for not horrendous prices. Anthurium tend to be really expensive. So it's a tall order to find like fancy Anthurium for like good prices, but the Block F2 is definitely one that you can look for, and I really like it because when the new leaves emerge, they do have like some really beautiful pink hues, and then eventually they like fade down and they stay like really dark. But yeah, it's one of my favorites, and I'm super happy with how well it's done. So my next one's another Anthurium, and that is my big Anthurium Black Chrystallinum. This plant has just been probably the biggest success of my entire collection. I got it like 2 years ago from Tropicals Plants. I imported it, and it literally came with just like one leaf. It was like, I don't know, like this, and it had no roots, just a chunk with, you know, like a 6-inch leaf on it. And I stuck it in my grow tent and it rooted up really quickly, and it just kept growing and growing and growing and growing. And once it was rooted up, I put it into pond, and that thing has never looked back. Like, it's gigantic. Now it won't stop blooming, and I originally said in my, I think my plant goal video for 2022 that getting that plant to bloom was one of my plant goals. Well, now it won't stop blooming. I've tried to pollinate it twice, and both times the inflorescences failed, and I think it's because I let the plant dry out too much, but I'm sure I'll have many more chances to pollinate that plant. So Black Chrystallinum, highly recommend it. I think that would honestly be a good choice for like a beginner Anthurium if you're interested in, you know, getting into the genus. Chrystallinum, Black Chrystallinum are great. But yeah, just keep in mind that it is eventually gonna get humongous if you do a good job with it. So maybe have that in mind, because once your plants start to get like too out of control big, it can be a little bit of a challenge to figure out who gets to stay and who gets to get kicked out. But that's a good one though. I really like it, and I'm super proud of it. Even though it's like kind of a basic plant, I don't even care. I still really love it. So next is actually my Hoya Polyneura, which is right here, and I will grab it so that you guys can see it a little bit better. This plant has been, God, this was like one of the original like rare plants that I got, like I think at the end of 2019, and I just remember seeing it online and thinking like I had to have it. And back then these were going for a lot of money. Like I got a, oh God, it was a cutting. It was like one cutting. I think it was like 11 leaves, and I think I paid $125 for it. Like they don't go for anything close to that now. Like this, probably if I was gonna sell this, like I honestly have no idea how much I would even be able to get for this, but it's, you know, cool because I turned that little like one strand of 11 leaves, so like, I don't know, 3 or 4 nodes, into this monster. Like she's an actual monstrosity. So big. And you know, I think the secret with these really is you have to keep them in semi-hydro. Like this has been in pond for a really long time. I think that's the secret. I've heard people kind of sometimes struggle with keeping these happy. I think it's just that they dry out. So semi-hydro takes care of that. But I really love this one because it's actually like pretty splashy in places. Like it's definitely not, oh here, this is the best one to show you. It's definitely not like the Broget or the Broget version or form, but it's really beautiful, and some of the leaves are like really splashy. Like that one is really good right there. Wow. So it's kind of fun, like a little extra layer of enjoyment. But yeah, the one thing about this plant that kind of stinks is that I've never been able to successfully get it to bloom. So I don't know what I'm doing wrong on that. I've heard from people that sometimes you have to like water stress Hoya in order to get them to bloom. But this plant is in semi-hydro, so I can't really water stress it. So I don't know what I'm going to do about that. But it's always trying to put out peduncles, and then they just kind of get to a point where they dry up and they don't ever actually bloom. So yeah, like if you have tips of how to get your Hoya Polyneura to bloom, like please, I need them, leave them for me. But maybe at some point I'll get some blooms off of it. But wow, that's wild. I'm pretty proud of this. I don't even really care who you are. Like this is a pretty impressive Polyneura, I think. All right, while we're on the topic of Hoya, this is actually another one that I'm extremely proud of because, so this is my Hoya Krohniana Super Silver, and this is like a pretty respectable little pot of Hoya, right? When I got this plant, like I kid you not, it was one leaf. It was a one leaf cutting. It was a while ago. I want to say it was like over 2 years ago, but yeah, no, this one, I think this is even more impressive than the Polyneura, honestly, because it's just huge. Like it just never stops growing. And it's like, oh, look how silver it is. Like some people really, really like silver plants, and I definitely like them, but I'm not like only silver plants kind of plant person, but I do really like them. And actually this is kind of special because I did actually get it to bloom recently, and the blooms just dropped off. Like the blooms just dropped off and finished. So I'm hopeful that this peduncle will keep producing blooms, and that maybe somewhere else on the plant there might be another one about to form. Like I don't see it anywhere, but this probably like needs a repot. I should do that soon. Maybe put it into some real pond and give it a little bit bigger container. Is that another peduncle? No, I think that's a root. But yeah, this is honestly, it's one plant and it has so many offshoots coming off of it. So I'm really pleased with it. I'm pleased with my care for this. I've honestly like basically done nothing. I'm actually really bad with Hoya, and a lot of them die from neglect. So I'm happy that this one has made it through the gauntlet of me neglecting it, and it looks amazing, and I really like it. All right, so we're cruising through these. Another one that I wanted to just mention is my Anthurium Clarinervium, because I killed one of these. I got one a while ago, like back in, I think it was like late 2019, and I really wanted it, and it was my first Anthurium, and I just really didn't understand like how to water Anthurium. I was way too scared to overwater it, that I underwatered it. But I've always really loved these because I feel like of most of the plants in the hobby, like, oh shit, this is falling. This is not good. I'm gonna have to do something with this. I'm gonna have to repot this. Oh shit, oh my god. Oh my god. Yeah, that Philodendron glorious is like, it's been kind of precarious in that pot. The pole keeps leaning, so I'm gonna need to do something with that, but it was like leaning over. Ah, yikes. Anyway, I want to talk about my Anthurium Clarinervium because I got this plant like way back in 2019, and it was the first Anthurium that I wanted, and I really just didn't know like how to take care of Anthurium. I used to be like really bad underwaterer back in the day because I was just so afraid that I was gonna overwater my plants. I was absolutely terrified of root rot. So I underwatered the plant into oblivion. I did try and like node propagate it to bring it back, and like it did grow back, but then it like all the propagations, they would die anytime I would take them out of the grow tent, and it was just a really sad mess. So I kind of swore that plant off, but eventually I did get more. I got a few of them, and I'm glad I did, because I think honestly, like of a lot of the plants in the houseplant hobby, like Anthurium Clarinervium, like just looking at it, like if you've never really seen like a lot of plants, you know, before, like you look at that, it'd be like a conversation starter for sure to have that in your house. So I'm very proud of where we are today. Here we are today with our beautiful Anthurium Clarinervium. Like I honestly am so proud of this because it's freaking beautiful. These couple leaves in the front, like wow, so good. And like this leaf was really, really big and beautiful too. And this was honestly, this was 100% a casualty of underwatering. Like these plants do not like to be underwatered, but this is one of the only anthurium that I have in soil. And I failed with it in pond enough times. I was like, we're doing soil. We're going to see if this works. And it's worked really well. It actually like needs to be repotted for sure. Like look at all those roots down there. So I'm going to have to probably do that this weekend. Maybe I'll post like a short or an Instagram reel or something of it. But yeah, look how beautiful. And it's crazy. It like never stops blooming. But I don't really have anything that crosses with Anthurium clarinervium, so I haven't tried to pollinate it. But yeah, I'm really proud of this. When I got this, it was literally like one leaf, like this size. And now it looks so good. I think I'm gonna, once I repot it, it's gonna just continue to give, just give and give and give. So I'm really pleased with this. Like, I'm so glad that my relationship with this plant hopefully is gonna end up having a happy ending, because I think it's really beautiful. And I was really sad that I screwed it up, so yay. Okay, so we just got 2 more to go that I want to talk about. First is my Philodendron bilietiae, and this one has like a similar kind of story to the Philodendron flora ghost. I got it as like a little cutting, unrooted. It was the first time I ever did a trade for a plant, and so I was really excited, really nervous, and I got this back when these were really expensive. The little cutting that I got in my trade probably would have cost like 200 bucks if I had tried to buy it somewhere. So I was super grateful to be able to trade for it. And yeah, the journey to root it was really difficult. Like, maybe I'm exaggerating, but it seemed like it took like 8 or 9 months for this thing to root. Like, I started out in moss in the grow tent, and it just did nothing and did nothing and did nothing and did nothing. Eventually I did put it in water and it didn't do anything, but then I think I actually bought the rooting hormone for the bilietiae. So I eventually did that, and it worked really well. So yeah, the lesson there is that if you are struggling with rooting a plant, get some rooting hormone, it works. Yeah, it's doing really well now. It's so cute. It did give me like the biggest leaf that it has given me, and then unfortunately, like, I had left it in too small of a pot of leca for too long. It roots so aggressively that it just got like too much in the little pot, and it kind of like rotted, like a bunch of the roots rotted. But I cleaned it off and rerouted it in water like easy, and so I'm gonna pot that up eventually and hopefully give it something to climb, and it's gonna be really awesome. And so I'm really proud of it, because like for a while there I was concerned I was gonna lose that plant. Last but not least is my Anthurium Vittarifolium. So I got this plant from an import order from Indonesia a couple years ago, and when I got it, so there's actually 2 plants in the pot, but like when I got it, they were pretty small plants, and they are so hardy. I highly recommend the Anthurium Vittarifolium. If you like pendant Anthurium, like, you know, long boys, and you're not so sure you can handle some of the more like difficult, expensive ones, like the Anthurium Vittarifolium is amazing. But the one I have in my living room is actually getting pretty big. There's 2 of them in the pot, and it looks amazing. I've shown it a bunch on the channel in the past, but I don't think I've shown it anytime recently, and I think it's gotten quite a bit bigger. So I'm really excited for this growing season to see what this monster turns into. I'm really hoping I get like some much longer leaves. Like, it was starting to give me like pretty long leaves, and then it hit winter, and you know, the growth slowed down naturally. But so I'm really hoping to get some like super long leaves over the growing season this year. But that rounds out my list for today. I've been super motivated lately, so you might start seeing a number of new videos coming through, so keep your eyes peeled. And also, I have been posting shorts here and there, and I've been a lot more active on Instagram lately. So if you're ever concerned for my welfare, pop over to my Instagram, because I'm a lot more active over there, because it's a lot less work to be active over there. So anyways, thanks for hanging out with me, and I will see you in my next one. Bye.